I think what I struggle with when it comes to the internet, and
That's one thing.
I consider AI the internet. I mean,
Sure.
it doesn't exist, but that's all of this stuff. Like, it's not real. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like what I do for a living, I make things on the internet.
All right.
We consume things on the internet. None of it's real. It's how do you get that stuff into this world?
Mhm.
How do you get, and I'm not talking about like VR and dumb shit
Yeah.
like that. None of that's just real either. But like, how do we get it into the real world? And I think that's what you've done here, particularly in the points where you're creating things for yourself to use,
Mhm.
whatever. Like if we use AI to give us a workout plan,
Right.
and then I go work out following the plan,
Done it.
I am pulling this stuff out of the internet and making it real life.
Right.
As opposed to me creating something, putting it there for storage, and then retrieving it later to then use it. I know that's very meta.
No.
But like you're using this mechanism as the creation point.
Yeah.
But I think that's where I struggle the most is like determining what is real, what isn't real, what can be real, what is like synthesized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's definitely a lot of blurry gray area where we're living at now. Like we're seeing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff being produced. You know, I'm not talking about the literal deep fake things.
Yeah.
Which those, thankfully, so far, you can still kind of tell. You know what I mean? Because the eyes move weird and people's lips don't quite move right. You can kind of tell, like their hair moves a little weird, or they'll walk and they're handled, like, or they'll have like 9 fingers or something. But like, I mean, that shit's they're gonna get that right at some point.
Exactly. But tell me, like, you know, thinking back to this stuff that's in the ether, you know, that we're talking about, the digital ether, like, what if this was in book form?
Right.
All right. And you read it, and let's say that we didn't know about AI and it was just there.
They just printed it as a
and they just printed it as a physical book. Would you believe it more?
Yes.
You know how many times that has happened in history?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Good or bad?
I'm not saying it's
how many wars have happened because of that.
I'm not saying it's a good thing.
Yeah, but it has happened. I mean, like,
that's why they wrote the Bible.
That's right.
I mean, that's literally why they wrote it, because it was like all these stories, and they're like, you know, you should write that shit down.
Yeah, but then with the Bible, if you go back in history, and it has been revised so many times to where the Bible now is not what the Bible was originally.
Yeah.
Forget different religions and their versions of it, but it, like, the King James version is not it was a formalization of something else.
They're changing something every time they reprint that thing. You're not like, come on, something's getting
just one comma at a time.
Even if it is one comma at a time.
Yeah, punctuation matters though. Yeah. It's life and death sometimes.
Yeah.
but you know, it's I'm just saying that, like, we've done all of this throughout history. And so this is not new. The mechanism is new. And, you know, have you ever read a book and gotten inspiration from it?
100%.
Okay. What if that book was based off of bullshit?
Most of them are, but